Okay, everyone, Assalamu alaikum. So now it is the turn of developed and developing countries. Now I will be discussing the question that is basically generally asked by the examiner relevant to explaining the features of developed and developing countries. Sometimes the examiner asks that explain what is the difference between developed and developing countries, and there are a lot of questions generally asked, but keep in mind the points are exactly same. You have to just relate them to the statement of question. So as a sample, I have these two questions for you, and you can see them. And I will also let you know what other kind of questions are asked from this topic and what statements generally examiner uses. So the first question is explain the common features of developed and developing countries. So when examiner asks this question, what you have to do is you have to try to, first of all, define what developed country is and what developing country is. So developed countries are basically also known as the rich countries, and developing countries are the poor nations. And you have to basically explain multiple features that are found in these two countries. And whenever question is asked by the examiner for 12 marks, you have to keep in mind very important concepts or features that include GDP of the country, GDP per capita or real GDP, whatever you want to use. You can use that because these are multiple proxies of national income. So the second thing you must consider is like sectoral distribution. Sectoral distribution means you will have to talk about primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors. And age structure is again an important factor that you must consider while explaining and differentiating these two countries. And then you can talk about inflation rate, you can talk about unemployment rate, you can talk about balance of payment position, and what other features you can talk about are number of people per doctor and literacy rate, life expectancy. These are the common birth rate and death rate. These are the common features that are found in developed and developing countries, but you will have to relate them. What will be the GDP of the country if country is developed, and what will be the GDP of the country if country is developing. So GDP is the total market value of all the goods and services produced in a country in 1 year. And definitely when GDP is high, it shows the country will be developed, rich country, because when people have more income, it means they can afford they have better resources and they can afford better goods and services to enjoy greater standard of living. GDP per capita in developing countries is relatively low, and they enjoy poor standard of living because their income level is low. And when we talk about sectoral distribution, it means you have to talk about primary, secondary, and tertiary sector contribution. In developing countries, primary sector is the most important, then tertiary sector is least important. So it means most of the people who are working in basically agriculture sector belong to the developing nation, and in developed countries most of the population, most of the people work in tertiary sector, that is service industry. So you have identified what will be the ratio of primary, secondary, and tertiary sector in developed and developing countries. Now you will have to justify what you are saying. For example, if you said that primary sector is the most important, mean agriculture sector is the most important in developing country, then you will have to justify why it happens. You can say that one reason can be most of the population lives in rural areas and they are directly or indirectly connected with the agriculture sector, and they are not very much qualified or literate. So as a result, what happens is they only fit to the agriculture sector, and they are not in the position to work in secondary or tertiary sector, that is industry and service sector. On the other hand, in developed nations, you will say that most of the population works in basically service industry, That is banking, transportation, communication, warehousing, advertisement, and technology related basically services. All these services are most important in developed nations, and most of the population works there. And one reason is people are more literate, they have more skill, they have more reach to the technology, they have educational facilities, better educational facilities. As a result, they are in the position to work in tertiary sector. So this can be the logic for this uh, point. And now moving to the next thing, that is age structure. Age structure in developed and developing countries is again different. In developing countries, the poor nations, very young people or small children are more than the very old people, and youngers are in between them. Why small children are more in developing countries? There are certain reasons for that. That is, they don't have knowledge about family planning programs, early marriages are there, and female participation to the labor force is very low. When female workers don't work, they give birth to more children. And developed nations, in developing nations, very old people are very less. What is the reason for that? And the reason for that is they don't have reach to the better nutrition, they don't have reach to the better health facilities, and they don't have the reach to even appropriate medicines. So when it happens, people don't survive for long term, and they live in more negative externalities in polluted environment. They don't have reach to the nutrition, proper nutrition. So when it happens is they don't survive for longer time. But on the other hand, you will have to say that in developed nations, situation is quite opposite. Small children are less than very old people. So very old people are the people who survive for longer time. They have more life expectancy. And what is the reason for that? Reason again is now clear. I have told you earlier. In developed nations, literacy rate is high. People have the knowledge how to keep themselves healthy, and how they can survive for longer time. Similarly, they have reached to the better medical facilities, appropriate medicines, sufficient hospitals are available, qualified doctors are easily available. When it happens, people survive for longer time. So these are the main important factors that you must keep in mind. Other general factors that you should consider is inflation rate. In developing countries, inflation is out of control. Generally, price keep rising, and in developed nations, price level increases, but with a consistent and smaller rate. For example, in USA, inflation rate increases by 1%, 1.2%, 1.3%, maximum 2%. But in developing countries, like most of the developing countries face generally high inflation rate, right? Prices are out of control. Government is not appropriately managing the situation, and it is not making sure of the supply. Supply of goods and services. When goods and services are not supplied well on time, definitely prices will rise. And then coming to the unemployment, unemployment is a phenomenon when job seeker after due search is unable to find a job. And unemployment definitely rate is very, very high in developing nation as compared to the developed countries. In developed countries, there are a lot of job opportunities, there are a lot of industry, tertiary sector is there, so people easily find jobs there. And they, if they don't have sufficient skill or knowledge, then because of availability of educational institution, training institution, they can get education and training, relevant training, and they can get employed into the industry. But in developing countries, as I told you earlier, that industry is least important, tertiary sector is least important. So most of the people are connected with the agriculture sector, and agriculture sector cannot accommodate a lot of people. So unemployment rate is really very high. And political instability is another factor that is found in developing nations. Political stability is found in developed countries, and many other reasons can be there. You can talk about infrastructure of the country, network of roads, law and order, terrorist activities, all these factors can be accommodated in this question. Definitely, when question is for 12 marks, you need not to explain all the concepts, all the points. However, I will suggest all of you to explain at least 4 well-developed points, and then you can just mention what other things can be considered to differentiate whether country is developed or developing. Okay, so again, examiner may ask question like this: explain how age structure, employment pattern, and sectoral distribution differ in developed and developing countries. Now, examiner has basically limited you to explain only 3 factors. One is age, the second one is employment, and the third one is sectoral distribution. So you will have to talk about these 3 factors, and to facilitate your explanation, to develop your points, you can use all other factors as well. For example, when you are talking about age structure, so we talked about age structure, the small children in developing countries are more than the very old people. On the other hand, in developed countries, the situation and scenario is totally different. You will, to develop the point, you will have to incorporate the reasons for that. Okay, so while you are talking about sectoral distribution, you mean primary, secondary, and tertiary sector contribution. So you will again talk about the developing country, that they are more dependent on primary industry and they are least dependent on tertiary industry. So you can again give the reasons as well, which I told you earlier, that the literacy rate and stuff like that. And then is employment pattern. In employment pattern is basically most people are employed in primary sector, least people are employed in tertiary sector. And sectoral distribution is most of the GDP depends upon basically primary sector in developing countries, and most of the GDP least GDP depends upon the tertiary sector, and the quite opposite situation will be in like developed countries. So these are the basically ways how you can point out the factor and how you can explain that factor effectively, so examiner gives you maximum possible marks. Generally, this question is considered to be simple question, but most of the students don't get good marks because they don't develop the points as much as required by the examiner. Okay, so one important factor, other factor is disparities. Like disparities is the income gap between rich and the poor. Income gap between the rich and poor in developing nations is much more than the developed countries, right? Similarly, you can use, while you are explaining the concept of disparities, you can use the concept of Kuznets curve as well. Disparities mean income gap between rich and poor, and you can use the concept of Kuznets curve. Kuznets curve basically shows that when countries develop, this is income on X, when countries develop, their income level increases, then what happens to the disparities? You can put disparities here, or you can just write Gini coefficient, Gini, Gini coefficient. And Gini coefficient is basically the index that shows how much disparities are there. Disparities with development initially increase, and after a certain point, disparities fall. So the countries with high income have lesser disparities, and the income with middle level income have highest disparities, and disparities keep increasing with rise in income during this period. So when income increases, you can see disparities mean income gap increases between rich and poor, and this is the peak point. Afterwards, after a certain point, when country is added to the developed nation, then definitely what happens is disparities keep falling. And the Kuznets explained the reason for this trend using like rural urban migration, concept of rural urban migration. What happens is when people from rural areas move to the city areas, to the urban areas, what happens is they are overexploited by the industrialists in urban areas, and industrialists get benefit out of them, and they industrialists pay them very low wages and overexploit them in terms of working hours and stuff like that. So as a result, what happens is when industrialists are able to get workers at very low wage rate, then what happens is their income level and profitability increases rapidly, and the income of these people coming from rural areas will definitely increase, but with smaller rate. As a result, these people will remain poor. Rural people coming from rural areas will remain poor, and industrialists will get more rich. So the gap between income gap between the rich and the poor, the industrialist and the working class, will further increase, widen. So the same concept Kuznets basically used. Kuznets was the name of an economist who told this idea. And with the passage of time, when these people coming from rural areas get education and training and relevant stuff, they demand high wages from the industrialists, and as a result, the income of these people will increase and the profit of industrialists will relatively decrease. And when profit of industrialists will decrease and income of these working class will increase, as a result, the income gap between them will reduce and disparities will reduce. So rural urban migration initially increased disparities. So Gini coefficient will increase when disparities will keep increasing. And at a certain point, when these people get skilled and educated, then what will happen is they will demand high wages, and then ultimately their income will go up and the income of industrialists will go down. As a result, disparities will reduce. So Kuznets used this idea. So you can, while explaining developed and developing countries, you can make the use of this graph as well. Coming to the second point, discuss whether all problems of a developing country will be solved if it moves to the developed status. 13 marks question, you have to write in favor of this statement and against this statement, and then you will have to give conclusion as well. So whenever a country becomes developed, like it moves from developing to the developed status, definitely a lot of problems are solved, like GDP will rise, sectoral distribution will change, age structure will change, inflation may come under control, unemployment may come under control, disparities may reduce, infrastructure may be improved. So these are the benefits, the problems that are being solved. But on the other hand, you will have to talk against the point as well. When a country becomes developed, what happens is population pressure may rise, because the people from other nations may try to migrate there and come there to find out job opportunities, educational facilities, they want to enjoy the better infrastructure there. As a result, what happens is population pressure may rise, and when population pressure rises, definitely housing issues may be created, medical problems may be created, and there may be higher crime rate as well. So these are the multiple issues that might arise when a country becomes developed and it moves from developing to the developed country. So there may be some problems that are solved, and there may be some problems that may still remain there. And these are the issues. And at the end, you will clearly conclude the overall discussion. Okay, what will happen is, okay, some of the problems will definitely be solved, and some of the problems will stay there, and they will remain there, and definitely country will have to face those issues. Like I have told you that there might be housing issues. When population pressure increases, more people are coming into the country, then the existing housing facilities might not be sufficient to accommodate all the people coming into that country. And definitely every person coming into the country does not mean that they will be able to get the jobs. And if they are unable to find jobs there, then what will happen? For their survival, they may be involved in crimes, and they may be involved in illegal activities. So such scenarios may be created, and they might remain there. So this is important thing that you must keep in mind. And for right now, this class, I'm going to basically stop this here, and I will be coming to you very soon, inshallah, with the new topic. And the new topic I will be explaining to you will be relevant to standard of living, GDP as a measure of standard of living. Okay, so if you want to get short questions and their answers, you may WhatsApp me. My number is showing on the screen right now. You can WhatsApp me on this number. I will send you the PDF. And if you want to get some important questions relevant to definitely long questions section B, then I will be posting the answers, explaining the answers of long questions here in video form. And if you need relevant data for section A, important questions for section A, and the solution of those questions, then you may WhatsApp me on this number, and or you may write in the chat. I will definitely reply you, try to reply you. So this is it. Thank you so much. Best of luck. Bye.